I think the focus has been primarily or traditionally on improving the production side, the performance, sustainability performance, and there's been less focus on the consumption side. So some good examples of consumption measures the meat industry could be taking might be, for example, around waste, how we can reduce meat waste from consumers. That's one example. But I haven't seen any programs myself, but they may exist. Well, I think all of these issues are related. I think meat is not just a product, it's a service, and it's not just a service, it's health and nutrition for consumers. It has many values that are part of that piece of meat, and that is the environmental values, the social values, the health and nutrition values, and I don't think that you can separate those out and only look at one value and say that you're delivering a sustainable product. I think consumers are so diverse today and they have so many diverse demands that you have to meet multiple criteria to be able to say that your piece of meat is sustainable and healthy and nutritious. And I think that actually some of the research is showing also that the more nutritional food is also food that has a lot of other values, such as sustainability values or better environmental performance, can lead to a better nutritional content within the meat as well. Could we live without meat? Why would we want to? That is my answer. I think that there's many different messages coming through. I think there is definitely a small percentage of the population that would argue that people should not eat meat. And this may be for ethical reasons, it may be also for very strongly held environmental reasons. But there's a huge part of the population, the majority of the population, that still values meat as an important part of and healthy part of the human diet. And I don't think that will go away. I think in some places moderation of meat and that message is perhaps relevant, where people are eating huge portions of meat. They may need to reduce their meat consumption, but in saying that, I think as a society we have to reduce consumption overall. It's not just meat, we have to reduce our consumption more generally if we're living in a world that has less resources in the future. Yeah, I think it's an opportunity, and I think not only is it an opportunity to reduce wastage when you're using every part of an animal, there are a lot of byproducts that people don't realise because they're not connected now to how meat is grown and how animals are, how meat is produced and how meat is killed, how animals are killed and processed. Because they've lost touch of that, they don't realise the significant number of byproducts that come from meat consumption. For example, the leather industry. I think people forget that there are other, you know, it is a very efficient industry in many cases. Because it has to be, because it's a difficult industry to operate in and people need to make money and there's a lot of challenges. So I think the industry is innovative and is trying to be as entrepreneurial as it can be, but there's always room for improvement. I think it's a bit of both, but I think there is a big issue and I think there's a big opportunity with connecting consumers back to how meat is produced and processed and delivered. I think it's very important for the industry to try and connect those lost those people that have lost the knowledge around farming back to the stories about farming and the farming landscape and farmers, and the people that work on farms a very important and powerful message, I think, for consumers. Yeah, I think there's a very heavy focus on schools at the moment on sustainable development. It's sometimes a little bit disappointing in that they're not focusing on the sort of pragmatic or the practical realities of sustainable development. It's very at quite a high level, and it's not going back, for example, when you talk about sustainable food systems, it's not going back to the farm. It's not reconnecting people with what is the reality on farm, how are farmers actually managing some of these challenges around sustainable development, and what is their role and how important that is in society as well.